Good evening, traders. This is CloudChartist with your weekly Ichimoku wrap for the week ending January 20th, 2017. This is Sunday, the 22nd. I'm going to start off with crude because I happen to have that chart open, so crude traders can check out early if they like. So we still have, obviously, the same larger pattern going on. Basically, the last several weeks, we've just been flagging out here, bull flagging out here, so I'll zoom in on just that. If you've seen my videos before, we've already talked about the rest of it. So we have this arbitrary-esque neckline that I drew here, which seems to be holding on a closing basis, which is sort of interesting to me. So basically, last week's candle was a small body, kind of a spinning top doji, with a larger bottoming tail than a topping tail. So as long as we continue holding this neckline, I'm going to continue to expect a move higher. In fact, even if we lose this neckline, we could pull back all the way down to the Tenkan-sen at 50.03 and then still continue higher. That would be bullish to get a reversal down to that area, and I would be definitely tempted to buy at that 50.03 level if we did trade down there. You note that the Tenkan-sen has tipped up this week. That is, or did tip up last week. That was a new development, showing that things continue to still be bullish and for crude. Let's move on to the ES. ES has been doing a similar flagging type action, putting in slightly smaller range than last week. A red hammer type candle still looks altogether bullish for the ES. If we got a significant pullback, we could look to find support at 2227.75 at the Tenkan-sen there. Let's look at the Dow. Same, the Dow is consolidating sideways for a potential move higher unless things change. We did put in a lower high and a lower low, so we are in a downtrend at the moment on the weekly time frame for the Dow. If we continue lower, we could find support potentially at the Tenkan-sen below at 19,384, which would be, I would be inclined to buy that if we held that on a closing basis. Let's look at the NASDAQ. Pardon my neighbor's dogs barking in the background if you can hear it. It wouldn't be Sunday night without the neighbor's dogs barking. Last week on the NASDAQ, we put in a new all-time high, but we did put in a bit of a topping tail. So it looks like this uptrend might benefit by some sideways price action. We will see. Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen are both pointing upwards, so not really requesting pullback thus far, and RSI is still far from overbought. Let's look at some gold. Gold, interestingly, put in another bullish candle this week, but did find resistance at the cloud and did close right on, let's see, the cloud is at 1211.50, so we just closed slightly under, like a little bit over $1 under. So that's significant. We did find resistance at the cloud. So if you are long gold here, or if you are considering buying, you may want to see what happens, whether or not we are able to break into the cloud or whether we get rejected by the cloud. If we do get rejected by the cloud and trade lower, we can look to find support at the Tenkan-sen here at $1,172.60. Let's look at it. Silver. Silver also had a bullish week with the same situation here, getting rejected from the bottom of the cloud. So be careful if you're long silver or thinking about getting long silver. Be very aware of that 1742 area potentially rejecting if price does continue higher. If we get a pullback, we can look for support at the Tenkan-sen below at 1651. So both gold and silver are still bearish on the weekly time frame in Ichimoku charts. Let's look at bonds. The 30-year ZB put in a close right at the Tenkan-sen just 2 ticks under the Tenkan-sen. So that is significant. Basically, we gained the Tenkan-sen support on the last weekly candle and then closed below it on this weekly candle. So if you are thinking that last week we could potentially be breaking the downtrend or breaking the larger downtrend and putting in a close above the Tenkan-sen, what was a potential signal that you might want to get out of your short trade. If you're thinking that it was bottom was in, you could be surprised. We need to see what happens this week, whether or not we put in another close below or above the Tenkan-sen. So Tenkan-sen's currently at 150.22. Overall, though, bonds are still bearish on the weekly time frame. Let's look at the 10-year. 10-year, same thing. Try to find support at the Tenkan-sen here. The Tenkan-sen's at 124.065, and look where we closed, 124.065. So technically, the 10-year did close right on weekly Tenkan-sen support, which so that could be a bullish sign, but we want to see what happens this week. We do have a flat Kijun-sen above and a flat cloud above, so price could be attracted back towards those flats, but it's not really that close to it yet for that to be the case. And we do have 3 topping tails here around the 125.10 area, so have to keep that in mind that people are shorting from this area right here. All right, let's look at the dollar. Dollar actually lost the support of the Tenkan-sen and closed between the Tenkan-sen and the Kijun-sen. So the trading range has been marked out there by those. Tenkan-sen up here at 101.65.3 and the Kijun-sen down here at 98.93. So if we continue lower, we can look for support at the Kijun-sen down here at 98.93. And if we continue higher, we can look for resistance up at the Tenkan-sen at 101.65. We do have a flat cloud below and a flat thin cloud going into like May. So that is not particularly bullish. That looks like sideways action for the dollar according to the Ichimoku chart. Let's look at another way to look at the dollar, the USD JPY. It's interesting during the inauguration. If you were watching dollar yen or yen, there's a lot of yen movement on Friday. Indeed, the dollar, this is the new candle is already open for dollar yen, but last week's dollar yen candle did actually find and close above Tenkan-sen support here after coming down and nearly testing the cloud. So it's going to be important to see this week whether or not we can get back above the Tenkan-sen. If you want to be bullish on dollar yen, that's at 115. Otherwise, we could come down and test the cloud below, and that is down around I'm going to call it like 112.12, something like that. We do have a lower cloud ahead and a flattening cloud top ahead, so that is pretty neutral as far as the Ichimoku charts go. It's not particularly bullish, and flats can attract price. Let's just take a look at a couple of commodities. Let's look at coffee. I haven't been looking at coffee lately, and it's been making a strong bounce off the cloud. You see the prior week, it did find resistance at the Tenkan-sen, and then last week it blasted over the Tenkan-sen and headed towards the Kijun-sen, didn't quite make it to the Kijun-sen. So it's possible if coffee continues higher, it will find resistance at the Kijun-sen above at 154.43. which is only like a little over a point above. If we do find sellers coming in coffee, then we could look to find support at the Tenkan-sen down below at 148.70. But it looks bullish. We have a rising cloud ahead, which is also bullish in comparison to the flat clouds that we had been looking at prior. Overall, coffee's looking bullish. Just keep an eye on that resistance at the Kijun-sen 154.43. Let's take a look at corn. Corn's been sort of holding a trend line of sorts. I haven't drawn it yet, but I will just give you an idea, something like that. After making this bottom, we're still bearish in Ichimoku terms as we're still under the cloud. We do note that the Chikou here, this red line representing price action time shifted 26 periods into the past, so 26 weeks into the past, came to a halt at the cloud here, which is why price stopped as well. So if the Chikou cannot get into the cloud, then we could have a pullback, and I wouldn't be surprised to see some more sideways action, maybe a pennant type action as we head sideways along the Tenkan-sen, offering support and this trend line here. You notice above the cloud has a twist here, and the twist area is very thin, so that is really a great area for price to actually break through the cloud to the upside if it does choose to do so. And let's look at platinum. Last week, platinum is continued its march higher inside the cloud, following the shape of the cloud. It traded below the cloud for a little while, didn't come all the way down to the Tenkan-sen, and closed inside the cloud, hammer type candle, just slightly below the close from last week. So if it does continue to follow the shape of the cloud, it should move higher with resistance at the top of the cloud, which is around 1028, and then also at the Kijun-sen above at 1044. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you for joining me. If you're interested in learning more about Ichimoku, feel free to contact me. You can check out my website at CloudChartist.com. You can hit me up on Twitter at CloudChartist. If you're interested in being notified when I release new videos, do subscribe. Hit the subscribe button down below on YouTube. And feel free to ask questions or leave comments in the comments section below. Thanks again for watching. Have a great week.